All right, we're live. Welcome to episode 2 of Protocol Explorer. Today, I'm joined by Sauce from the Uniswap Foundation. I'll send it over to Sauce, who can tell us a little bit more about you and what you do over there.
Yeah, sure. Hey everyone. I go by Sauce and work at the Uniswap Foundation as like a DevRel engineer. So most of my day-to-day work is involved on like building content and prototypes on V4, kind of like being the V4 subject matter expert. I do work with grantees here and there, just giving them feedback and sort of giving them direction. I interface a lot with community developers, anyone just touching V4 and wants to like understand V4. So it's a little bit about me.
Nice, awesome, cool. See a couple people in the audience already ready to learn more about some hook mechanics, which is awesome. Thank you for joining in, Chessfish. Awesome. So yeah, today definitely want to dive into a little bit about hooks. Can you just maybe for folks who may not be as familiar, tell us like a little bit about V4, about hooks, and like how like things kind of like play?
I guess V4 is a sort of a natural extension to V3. So we still have all the properties of concentrated liquidity, on-chain LPs, um, swapping, and really the big architectural change to V4 is like all the tokens are held in a single contract, leading to like, substantial gas efficiencies for like multi-hop swaps. And then they are making Uniswap more of a developer platform. Like, granted, you could build on V2 and V3. However, you didn't really have strong control of what I call like the life cycle of swapping. So pool creation, LPing and swapping, and so that's kind of where hooks come in. And hooks you can just think of as these contracts that you deploy with more or less arbitrary logic that you could write. And during the V4 lifecycle, there are different points in which V4 can make calls to your contract. These are like the hook functions. So, for swap, you can run some checks. After swap, you could possibly like write to state to track spot price for an oracle. And then on the liquidity side, before and after liquidity gets added or removed, you can also run arbitrary logic there as well.
Nice. What are some use cases you've seen just like people are excited about with hooks?
Um, I think there's a lot of interest around limit order for swappers, and the way that works is like your limit order essentially is an LP position in the pool, and then as swaps happen, if it crosses your LP fully, then it'll automatically like unwind your position so that it doesn't convert back if the price moves against you. I've seen Oracle designs. Some people are thinking about like lending as well on top of V4. Um, I think permissioned and like compliant dexes are also a popular thing now that we have like kind of like RWAs and trying to think what else have I seen. Custom curves. I haven't seen too much custom curves, but I think that will also be like another cool feature in V4 where developers can design hook contracts that swap on different curves than the V3 curve or the V2 curve. There's ideas around like possibly like bringing like curve dexes stable swap to V4 as well. So there's a lot of moving pieces and a lot of like flexibility with hooks.
Gotcha. Awesome, man. Thank you for that quick intro to everything. That was dope. Yeah. So for the rest of the stream, we'll kind of like diving into a little bit of code. So Sauce is going to help me go through and just like build my own first hook. It's provided me a GitHub repo, which I'll be sharing in the description of the video once it kind of like fully goes live after the stream itself. So you'll all be able to also dive into that code, and we'll be tweeting that out too from the Protocol Explorer handle. Cool. Let me share my screen.
Yeah, I'm excited to get into it. I haven't done pair programming in a little bit, and
Okay.
I've done it before, and it's actually like really fun.
Yeah. when it's done live in front of people, it can go very wrong or be very interesting. So we'll see. All right, cool. So this was just the base kind of repo that I had downloaded before. Looks like it's a Foundry project. And yeah, where should I start, Sauce?
Yeah. So I guess, yeah, a little bit of background for viewers.
Mhm.
There's this repo out maintained by me and like the foundation called V4 template, and it's a really easy starter repo where you just kind of press a button and you get set up with this Foundry repo that includes like all the V4 dependencies. It does test setup for you, and then provides this sort of like template or like blank hook for you to start writing. So it's like perfect for beginners just trying to wrap their head around hooks, and it's perfect for like you know um, more experienced people that are like looking to like prototype and sort of test out different ideas and stuff. Um, so in our case, I think we're planning on building like a dynamic fee hook,
Mhm.
and in the sense that I think we're gonna try to charge a fee on one side of the trade. So like let's just assume like you're trading token 0 for token 1, and let's charge a fee on that side, and then on the other side, so from 1 to 0, there will be no fee. Um, and so this will happen inside the hook. So if you open up the SRC, go to counter. So this is sort of the base starter hook. It sets you up with some of those functions like before swap, after swap. And
So that's these guys here.
yep, yeah. So there's like some setup with like the hook contract that sort of signals like which functions it should be calling. So um, there's some falses in here and then trues.
Cool. So these before, so this is just like the hooks or arbitrary logic I can call before any swap happens, and same for after a
Mm-hmm.
swap happens. And in here,
Yeah,
I can just put in whatever that logic is. Right.
exactly,
Cool.
exactly. Um, so I guess to do dynamic fees, there's a special interface that you need to inherit. So if you go to the top and let's import, I think it's iDynamic Fee Manager.
iDynamic.
Capital D, I think. Fee Manager.
Where's
It
that
should
coming from?
be V4 core SRC and then interfaces. And then
These.
Maybe just try typing it all the way out and see if. So SRC / interfaces.
Seems that's all I'm getting from the interfaces.
That's all you're getting.
Yeah.
Can you open up your file explorer and like on the left, and go into lib, V4 core, SRC, interfaces.
That's there.
Yeah. So it is there. I think it's just probably like the
Okay.
hinting is. The hinting can be kind of weird in
Yeah.
Foundry and VS Code.
All right. So source interfaces. Oh, now it comes up. I don't know why it didn't come up before,
Yeah.
but yeah. Okay. Cool. And it's called iDynamic Fee Manager.
Yeah, with capital D.
Capital D.
Okay. I guess if you wanted to go into the interface, we can just kind of talk through it real quick.
That went into base hook for some reason.
Yeah.
All right.
So it's a really simple interface, and if your hook implements a dynamic fee, you have this function that just returns like what that fee will be, and in V4, you can make the fee like super dynamic, and we will, where it's like every swap it'll calculate. There's kind of an overhead with it, but I think for dynamic fees that don't change too often, like maybe you have like a volume-based fee where if volume crosses some boundary, then like the fee will get updated. You'll end up poking the pool manager, and then the pool manager will call your hook and call this function and read whatever the current fee is and then save it into its own sort of like cache or its own storage.
Got it. Interesting. Cool.
So let's go ahead and implement this function. I guess you have to also inherit it at the top. Like contract is, yeah.
All right. So it's just going to be add dynamic fee manager. Cool.
You could throw out all this like state and storage if it's distracting, like the mappings.
Okay. Yeah,
because we
that can
won't
be
need
the
those.
distraction.
Yeah.
Cool. I'll just get rid of the note for now too.
Yeah.
All right. Cool. This get her permissions thing is just like a setup thing, like a.
Yeah, it's a setup thing for so that the pool manager knows like which sort of functions are available.
Got it. Cool. All right. So where are we implementing this specific?
The get fee. It could just be anywhere in the contract. It could be above your hook functions if you want.
Okay. All right. So function get fee.
If I remember, yeah. It's
All right. So are there any parameters we're taking in here?
Yeah. So there's address and pool key memory. So I think the address is the person that updated the fee, and then pool key, and then because you can do fees on a per pool basis. But in our case, we'll just kind of like not use it. But if you're interested in like building fees for certain pools and not other pools, you can do
Got
that.
it. Cool.
And so this returns a uint24. And if anyone's familiar with the V3 fees, it's kind of
uint24.
24. Yeah. So like 3,000 represents 30 basis points, I think, and 10,000 represents 1%. So in our case, the get fee. So whenever we tell the pool manager saying, "Hey, we should update the fee," the pool manager doesn't have context on the direction of the swap, right? So we'll kind of need a state variable that sort of indicates, which side of the trade we're doing and like what the fee should be.
Okay. So just like a global state variable.
Yeah. We can call it like 0 or is 0 for 1 or something. I think sounds working. It could be a Boolean type.
Okay. Just to clear
And
that.
you can just leave it up. Yeah, just uninitialize. It'll just be default false. So inside get fee. And so I guess in our before swap, we'll be setting it, but for now we'll just kind of write the fee logic. So what did we say? So we said if the trade is 0 for 1, we'll charge a fee. And then if it's not, then there will be no fee. So it's a very simple sort of like if condition here. So like if is 0 for 1, we'll return a fee. And then we can pick any number. I think 3,000, or let's do 1%. So 10,000 is the magic number.
So return 10,000.
So So now whenever we're doing our swap, we'll tell the pool manager, hey, there's a new fee. The pool manager will call this function. And then if we're doing a 0-for-1 swap, token 0 for token 1, then we'll charge a 1% fee. Otherwise, we'll just charge no fee. So we could do 0.
Gotcha. Cool.
So you do like else return 0 or just return 0 works here as well.
Yeah, return 0.
Cool.
Cool.
And then go ahead.
So okay, so we did our get fee. If the swap is 0-for-1, we return this. Otherwise, return 0. And are we going to be calling this within one of these, like before swaps or after swaps?
Yeah, we'll do it before swap.
Okay. I think this was from before, right? So we probably don't.
Yeah, that's just a template. Yeah, so we don't need that anymore.
That.
Perfect. Okay. So in your function signature, we'll need to access swap params. So if you want to like assign that to a variable, it's the third argument in the parameters.
Okay.
Yeah.
So ipool.
So I think in the function signature, it'll be swap params call data, and then we can just call it params or something.
Okay. So it'll be just params is the ipool manager. Swap params.
No. In the function, in line 46.
Okay, line 46.
So,
okay.
Yeah, in there. So after call data, we'll want to give it like a parameter. By default, like I guess we don't include the parameter names because you get like those warnings.
Okay.
So if you do space params, yeah. So what was happening on swap? So you, as a user, are swapping through the swap router that makes a call to the pool manager. And then the pool manager will then call your hook contract, and it'll call this before swap function. And it will provide who is doing the swap. I think in the address will be the swap router, what pool they're swapping on, and then sort of the parameters of the swap, like, what's the direction? Is it an exact input or is it an exact output? And then the amount. If you go into the swap params, I guess it might be helpful to see like what that data is.
Where can I see that?
If you just go into the iPool manager file.
Okay.
And then look for swap params. Cool. So we can just see like the parameters are the direction of the trade. Are we trading token 0 for token 1? The amount specified, which kind of indicates like, are we providing input or are we expecting output? Like if it's negative, we're expecting like a certain amount out. Mm-hmm. And then there's like some sort of like slippage limit attached to it as well. So if we go back to counter here, we're mostly just interested in params.0-for-1. And so I guess I'll leave this up to the student. What should we do with this bit of data that comes
0-for-1? Okay, it's a bool just like that. So we'll just set the is 0-for-1 to whatever this returns.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Exactly. This is an interesting use case for like transient storage here. Right now we're just using like traditional like storage. Using T-store kind of requires assembly, so I think it's kind of like outside of the scope of this, but it's a perfect example for T-store because it's like we don't really care about persisting like the is 0-for-1 in storage for forever after the swap happens. We just only need it during the swap. And so there's cool little gas efficiency here and a cool little use case for transient storage. I'm not sure. Are you familiar with T-store?
I'm not too familiar. I can't say that. No.
Yeah, so there's this new storage type because I guess there's three right now, where variables are either saved in like contract storage, which
Mhm.
is kind of like global state variables.
Right.
There's memory, which is kind of like um, the storage available during like execution, and then there's like call data, which is similar to memory, but you just can't modify it. And so there's going to be this new storage type called transient storage, which behaves kind of like RAM or like a scratch pad, that it's this storage that is available globally during the execution of a transaction. But at the end of the transaction, it gets cleared out. And there's like different sort of gas costs compared to like traditional like contract storage. So that's like
Yeah.
kind of a quick summary on T-Store. Cool. So we have this. So if we back up and think about like the flow right now. So user performs a swap. Pool manager will call our before swap. We assign the direction of the trade. And now comes time to sort of poke the pool manager and tell it that like, hey, there's a new dynamic fee. Like you should write this down. And so we'll do that in before swap as well. And it's I think if you do manager dot update, maybe it's pool manager. I forget what the variable is. Can you check? No, not quite the class. Sorry. I think it's just manager dot
Just
update
manager.
dynamic. Yeah. Oh, sorry, no, it's pool manager, lowercase p, uppercase
Okay.
n.
All good. It's pool manager dot update. Where's
Update.
this pool manager defined?
It's defined in base hook, so it's
Okay.
we inherit from this helper file. It's included in V4 periphery. It's just kind of been outdated a little bit, and so I've been maintaining a fork, but eventually it'll be enshrined in V4 periphery.
Okay. Or just for me to see.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay.
And so this will be useful to just access, things from pool manager. If you wanted to run another swap, you could. There's a couple other like modifiers to sort of help you with your hook functions and stuff.
Okay. Got it. Makes sense. All right. So we're doing pool manager dot update, and we're updating it with
I think it's update dynamic fee is the function. If you go, it's implemented in iPool Manager or defined in iPool Manager. If you wanted to see like the function signature.
It's an iPool manager.
Yeah.
Why is this not working properly anymore? Okay.
You could try clicking on the path maybe, or yeah, that works too.
All right. So it's this thing.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So that just takes the pool key.
Yeah.
Just updates. Okay.
And so you have this, you make this call to the pool manager that says like, hey, there's a new fee on this pool key.
Mm-hmm.
And then the pool manager will make a call to the contract, and it'll call get fee. It'll take that return value and then save it into its own storage. It's sort of cached. And so, there's like different design decisions around dynamic fees, right? Like if your fee is not changing very often, there's really no point in putting it in before swap. It just kind of incurs like gas overhead. In our case, it could be updated every other trade. So It's kind of useful to put it in before swap. I ran some gas benchmarks yesterday, and I mean, depending on your get fee logic, right? If your get fee logic's like super complex, it has a lot of overhead. But for a very simple thing, it's like an additional 20,000 gas for swappers. So not great, not terrible, but you know, reasonable enough to call it every swap, I would say.
Got it. Makes sense. Cool.
And so here the function argument is the pool key.
That would be okay. This pool key here.
Yeah. Just key is what you're looking for. Yeah.
Cool.
Yep.
Cool. All right. So we're checking if 0 for 1, updating the pool key with the given key, and okay. Anything else that we need in this function?
No, I think that's pretty much it for.
Cool. Should I get rid of these other ones, or?
I would. You could leave them in. I would just get rid of the counter. I mean, yeah. Well, let's just get rid of it. We'll go through the whole hook configuration used. Okay. Yeah, just trash all of it.
Cool.
Okay, and then if you go into the hook permissions inside the counter, it was like the function that returned a bunch of like true and falses. Yeah, we'll just need to update these.
All right, so before swap is the only one we want as true.
Yeah, everything else should be false. Okay. Cool. All right. So this feels about right and looks good to me. So I guess now is like the point where we go into like testing, and
cool.
This is kind of where the bulk of hook development I think should happen. And so if you open up test and then counter T, I'll kind of give you a crash course on this file. So in V4 template, we include this, Foundry test, which uses some V4 helpers included in core, like the deployers. If you see at like line 27, we can see that it deploys the pool manager, sets up your like swap router, creates test tokens, does all the approvals and stuff for you, kind of hides that and makes that easy for you, does a lot of setup for you. If you scroll down, there's
there's actually a ton of setup that is very useful.
Yeah, it's really helpful. There's a little section on deploying a hook. I'll go into that a little bit afterwards. If you keep scrolling down, there's you can see the comment for like creating and initializing a pool. We'll seed some liquidity on it at like different ranges. I think there's an example of like the last one is like an example of a full range liquidity provision. So this kind of sets up your little environment.
Nice.
And then if you look at test counter hooks, we don't really need these assertions anymore, but there's also an example for swapping and then like asserting state.
Gotcha.
I guess if we wanted to back up and go into hook deployment, it's a interesting area of hook development. So hooks, the first 3 characters of a hook address will sort of encode and signal which hooks are available. And so, I guess so the first 3 characters of the address are the first 12 bits. And there's, 12 little flags that sort of signal like, oh, this hook contract uses before swap. Oh, this hook contract uses like no op. And you can kind of mix and match however you want, right? Like a hook contract doesn't need to only have one flag at all. You could, in theory, just write a hook contract that doesn't use any hook functions, and it's just like strictly like a dynamic fee. So in our case here, because we got rid of all the other hooks and we only have before swap flag, that's probably just the only one we want to keep.
Okay. Just that.
Yep. And then in V4 template, we include like this little helper file called like hook miner, which, given, if we want to go into it again.
Okay, so here's the hook miner.
Yeah, so for any Solidity developer that's familiar with Create 2, there's a way to sort of test out and try and like look for addresses that match certain patterns. This file kind of does that for you, where we have our hook contract and we know that the first 12 bits or the first 3 characters have to like be like a C and C00 or whatever. We can use this file that will then sort of just loop through a bunch of different possibilities until we find the one that matches what we're looking for.
Nice. Cool.
But other than that, yeah, I think we don't have too much to do other than setup, because we just have to change the flags and then all the extra sort of setup code is here for us.
This will just give us the hook address, create the pool. So there's nothing else really to change in this specific function. Okay. So now we want to write our own test.
Yeah, so we'll want to write 2 tests because we want to test both sides of the trade. And so for our first test, let's just try out the dynamic fee. So in our case, the test is already set up for a 0-for-1 swap. So token 0 for token 1. So here, you could just delete the current assertions that we have here just to clean it up. Cool. So I guess I'll leave this up to the student. So how do we want to test that our dynamic fee is working?
Okay, that our dynamic fee is working. Okay, so it's a great question. In the function, so we want to test if like this before swap runs and returns whatever the selector is.
Not quite. So the selector is mostly for the pool manager to know that it was implemented correctly.
Okay. Okay, we want to actually know if like this get fee is returning our 10,000.
Yeah, we could. Yeah, I think that's a good assertion.
Okay, so full disclosure, I'm not great at testing. May need a little help here.
Yeah. So before the swap, we know that 0-for-1 is default false.
Right.
Therefore, get fee should return 0. So before the swap happens, we should check that get fee is returning 0.
Okay. So
above
this.
Yeah, right there. Yeah.
Assert equals
I think you can just do
counter.before swap.
Counter.get fee.
Okay. Okay, cool. Counter.get fee, and get fee takes address pool key.
Okay. Yeah. You can just do address this for that argument. We don't really use it, so it doesn't really matter what we put in. And then I think the argument is key. It might be pool key, but we'll try it after we run the test. And so we just want to assert that it's 0.
In theory, this should work.
Yeah.
All right, let me. Should I just
Yeah, you can get rid of this other test.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just a test for liquidity. This is a test hopper. I would leave that.
Leave that. Okay.
That's what. Yeah, it kind of just abstracts all the swap logic.
All right. Cool.
And then after the swap, let's confirm that it's set to 10,000.
So it'll be the same thing, really. It should be 10,000.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Cool. Let's just run the test here, and I think there's possibly some errors. Let's see what happens. Do a little bit of debugging.
I think I saw there was some script to do the test.
Yeah, there's ways to sort of test this on Anvil and on testnets, but in our case, we're just writing Foundry tests, so I think you can just run Forge tests.
Okay, Forge tests. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
So in our test,
syntax error somewhere.
Yeah, I think we're missing a semicolon. It was in the test file, I think. So yeah, 55 and 61.
No visibility specified. Did you intend to add public? Okay, so get fee should be a public function.
I think it's an error with your import statement, but
import statement.
Yeah, just based on the error, it like couldn't find. Oh, I see. You have two M's or two N's in manager. So declared. Yeah, it was not found.
I think someone actually mentioned that in the comments. Yeah. Thank you, Robuilds. Didn't see that before. Okay. All right. So that's line 13. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think where you inherit it too, it looks like. Yeah.
Oh, cool. At least that was consistent.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. It's not used anywhere else, right? No. Cool. Did you mean pool manager?
Yeah,
okay. That's right. Yeah, that's probably what we meant. 52.
I think it's in the hook contract. Yep. You had it.
All right. We're almost rid of some.
Feeling good.
All right.
Okay. Because we inherited it, we just need to. Looks like we want to give it the view modifier, and it has to be public too.
Okay.
Because otherwise the pool manager can't see it, and then we also need the override. So it's get fee in the hook contract. We just need some modifiers on the function.
Okay. So this just needs to be public.
Yeah. So after the parameters and before returns.
Okay. I always do.
Yeah. Public view override, I think, is what we're looking for.
All right. It's a public view overrides. Spell sometimes.
I think override. Yeah. No S. Override. Yeah. All right.
Should be good now. Hear that?
Oh no.
There's more.
Oh. Let's see. The warnings we can ignore. It's just unused variables.
All right. So.
Oh, fee not dynamic. Classic. Okay. So inside, you know how I was talking about how the address will encode different features and properties of the hook?
Yeah.
And so there's a flag that we need to set to signal that, hey, this is a dynamic fee. And so it's complaining. Like, I think what happened was we told the pool manager saying, like, hey, update the fee. And the pool manager said, according to your address or according to like what you've signaled to me, like there's no dynamic fee.
Okay.
And so it's throwing this error saying fee not dynamic.
Got it. Okay.
And
So we just have to
so,
set a flag.
yeah, it's in our deployment or pool creation. So inside the test. Where we create the pool. So a little further down.
Okay.
So on line 40, we are defining our pool key.
Okay.
And we're saying, okay, it's this pool will use currency 0, currency 1. We're going to use 30 basis points as our fee. Our tick spacing is going to be 60 ticks wide. And the hooks that it's using is the counter.
Okay.
And so here we're defining a static fee. And so we'll want to replace 3,000 with signal that it's a dynamic fee. And so what you can do is replace 3,000 with fee library, FEE,
I'll feel library.
fee library, capital F, capital L. It's like a library. Dot. I think it's on all uppercase dynamic fee flag with underscores in between.
Dynamic fee
Flag, yeah. We'll clean that up. So we'll need to import fee library. So at the top of the
and that'll be from the V4.
Yeah, V4 core source libraries, fee library. Yep. And if we just want to just dive into it, we can just get like a quick, I think if you click on the path, yeah. Okay. Yeah, so here are some like flags and masking and how like different things are encoded in the address. And so we'll want to use this dynamic fee flag constant.
Okay. Then this thing. Okay.
Yeah.
So this is what I'm actually setting.
Yeah. So in your test file, I think your import needs the casings. So capital F for the fee library. And then back where we, yep, library.
That'll be this thing.
Yep.
Okay.
All right. I think, yeah, run the test. Yay.
More fast.
Yeah. I know we are scheduled for an hour. I'm happy to keep going. But you know, if we wanted to start wrapping up here, we can, or if you want to keep pushing forward.
I mean, let's maybe I guess like where would we go from here? I guess like what would you suggest if we were to continue diving in?
I think this test is fine. It could be better, and I think one of the things that we could do for the test is actually like check the outputs of the swap, because the pools are initialized to trade at like a 1-to-1 price, and so if we swap one token, right? If there was no fee, we would expect approximately 1 token of currency 1 here. But because we're charging a 1% fee, we would expect like 0.99 approximately.
Okay.
And so we could add that assertion just to ensure that like, yeah, like the fee that we're charging is correct, right? Because right now we're just checking that like the number is returning.
Right.
But it would be useful to check that like the fee is being charged approximately correct. So that's one test. And then on the other side, it's like we should probably test the other side of the trade where 0 for 1 is false.
Got it. Yeah. Okay. We can, let me see. I do want to go through some of the questions that people had, so maybe we can do that and wrap it up from there. But yeah, I think those are good stuff for people to like maybe play around with.
Cool. Yeah, makes sense.
Cool. Awesome. So here's one from Chessfish. Will Uniswap V4 be deployed if EIP 1153 isn't passed? What is the timeline for the Denken upgrade?
Yeah, I get this question all the time. V4 will not be deployed. I think it's all of the sort of gas efficiencies that V4 introduces sort of are dependent on transient storage or 1153. So I'm kind of in this camp that V4 will not be deployed and will be kind of hard dependent on this. Timeline for the Denkun upgrade. So it's happening. It's already happened on Gorley, and I've been meaning to update and refresh the deployments there. But I think Q2 2024 for mainnet is it's definitely like a reasonable timeline.
Nice. I think we had, here's another one. Is there a library for the nightmare math that sends developers straight to V2?
Yeah, there's a couple libraries. I think if the question is to try to adhere to V2 math using V3, I don't know how close you can get, but so the libraries I'm thinking about are tick math, and there's this one library called liquidity amounts, which is super useful for liquidity provision. Like so in liquidity provision, you have 4 parameters, right? You have the lower bound, the upper bound, token amount 0, and token amount 1. And this liquidity amounts library says that like given 3 of those parameters, like what is the 4th one? And so it's useful for calculating things like, let's say I have like a specific token ratio I want to use, and I know my upper bound price range for liquidity. What should my lower bound be? Or like I know my price range, and I have 1 token of the trade. How much should I get for the other side of the token? So those are probably the 2 libraries that are super critical for sort of navigating V3 math. And I think they provide really nice and clean abstractions.
Cool. Thank you. Wants to comment for commenting. Cool. I think that the rest were just like other banter. I don't see any other questions. If folks have any other questions, we can like take a quick minute to answer. But cool. I just wanted to quickly go over again the other tests that you'd mentioned that would be useful here. So one is to check on the fee itself, right? To see that fee is sorry. I'm blanking.
Yeah, you're right. The fee is being charged.
That the fee is being charged. The other would be like the other side if it's not 0 for 1.
Okay.
Exactly. So there'll be 2 other tests. So I'll actually push up this code if folks want to take a crack at those 2 different tests. That would be awesome to see y'all writing those and like diving into the code here. But cool. I think we're good from here.
Yeah. Awesome.
Cool. We do get one more question. Cool. Any areas of the V4 core, V4 periphery repos that need PRs? Oh, someone I guess wants to contribute.
Cool, man. Yeah, there's some areas here and there. I've had contributions as well. I think mostly around like developer testing experience has been well received by the Uniswap Labs team. Some of the more sort of critical or like heavy hitting PRs, they seem to be more like reserved, or those seem to be more scrutinized. But in terms of outstanding issues, I don't know if there's any off the top, but I think for me, it's like as I've been using and developing and experimenting on hooks, I've sort of found like sort of little deficiencies in the testing experience or the development experience where I'll like suggest a pull request to sort of improve that sort of DevX side, because V4 is like a massive and flexible like developer platform that I think getting it right and making sure things are streamlined and easy and things are safe and there aren't like a lot of foot guns, then like I think those PRs are for sure welcomed.
Nice. Cool. And this one came up. What are other resources to learn how to write test scripts besides Foundry docs? I think you'll have to.
I like this question a lot. There aren't any resources particularly other than like looking at existing tests that people write and then like Foundry as well. In the future, and that's one of the things on my to-do list before V4 launches, is start to like sort of formalize like best practices around testing and all the different things that you should, or like more or less create like a checklist for testing. But at the moment, there aren't any.
Yeah, I think like having some type of checklist would be really dope. Like even just like some of the things you went through here with me, like these are some of the things that you should be testing with this particular hook. Stuff like that would be, some type of checks would be awesome there.
As for like other resources, like one thing that I want to really shout out and something that I've been working on, and also very welcome to contributions on this too, is V4 by example. I'm not sure if you've seen it, Rahat.
No.
I don't know if you want to pull it up, but
let's pull that up.
Yeah, it's a fork of Solidity by example. I don't know if you guys have seen it. So it's V4 dash by dash example .org.
Okay.
.org, yeah. Yeah, so it's just like a bunch of like short little snippets for navigating V4. So like, how to provide liquidity, how to create a pool. If you just want to like click on something, there's,
Oh, this is dope.
Yeah, just some code snippets to help you work through it. And then there's some info on like, different hook features, like more advanced features like no op and custom curves.
Nice.
Like if you want to see an alternative dynamic swap fee, there's an example of like a time decaying fee where like whenever you create the pool, it starts at like a really high fee, like 5%. And then over time, like the swap fee will decay. So
nice. This is awesome. Okay. Nice. Okay, yeah, this is what we kind of went through.
Yeah, you can see the dynamic fee flag configuration. So
cool. I'll also leave this link in the description of the video, so folks seeing it later can also go through it. Cool, man. No, this is awesome. This is a great resource. I think forking like stuff like Solidity by example is just really great idea. I might steal this idea for some other things too.
Yeah, no, Solidity by example is great. Like even as like an expert like Solidity person, like I still reference it all the time.
Yeah,
for certain things. And
definitely. Cool. Awesome, man. So I think that is the top of the hour. Thank you so much for going over hooks, providing these resources. I think this is really cool. Just to have these resources. Like for me, hooks has been like this cool thing that's been announced, but like I wasn't really too sure how to dive into it. But this was an awesome introduction, I think, and I feel like a couple people in the stream definitely agree. Thank you all for coming in, participating. Really appreciate that. So thank you.
Yeah, thanks guys. I really appreciate coming in and checking out hooks. It's a fun time. Come become a hooker,
Cool.
Awesome. Well, thanks, Rahat.